time to be the GOAT. It's time to enter God mode, man, let's get it going. I wanna be the greatest, energy is overflowing. I know I'm stoking the fire, my desire's taking over, not time.
Okay, you beautiful friends, welcome back to the back of the semi-truck, and it's that time once again. You could tell from the thumbnail, you could tell by the title, Learning the Lore, The Amazing World of Gumball, Part 2. And yes, we are only on Part 2, but this is the final part of learning this lore as well. And I don't quite know which show we're going to do next when it comes to learning the lore, but I'm going to do another poll, and whichever poll wins on that one, that's the show that I'll do next. So after this is uploaded, go on over there to the community tab, vote on that poll. It should be up within a couple hours of this being uploaded. So hopefully, if I remember, because sometimes I do get, space brained because of all the driving that I do on a daily basis. And on top of that, I got a bit of an ADD problem. So I just got distracted by a car outside, so there goes that disclaimer. You are in the back of a semi-truck, so noise outside, it will creep in sometimes. That's the joy of being on a channel of a person who drives a semi-truck for a living. So with that said, where we last left off with this show, well, this is what I'm starting with. I don't know if y'all could see that. I'm sure you can. Where we last left off, though, we were about to jump into an episode called The Nobody, and I felt like that was going to be a pretty important episode. Watch now when I say that it was going to be an important episode. That is not an important episode, but either way, I felt like it was going to be an important episode, and they weren't going to be able to finish whatever happened in that episode at the time. So I went ahead, stopped it right there, and now we're about to jump into that episode and find out what the heck happens there. So, with that said, let's go ahead and find out what's going to happen in the Amazing World of Gumball. And I'm going to put this headphone on, and we're going to find out. So, with that said, let's play this in 3, 2, 1, and
got The Nobody. Can you guess who this one is from the title alone? The episode starts with Darwin and Gumball being accused of stealing the rest of the family's personal belongings and being grounded because of it. They both know neither of them did anything and realize someone has got to be in the house with them.
What secrets may be hiding? Oh!
The two eventually find a secret room in their living room and figure out that Rob has been living there for months. After a super intense chase scene,
pause. Rob? Oh my gosh, I forgot how crazy this freaking show is. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let me get this straight. The person that everyone forgets about all the time, Rob has been living in their house right up underneath their nose the whole time. That's insane. But you know what? I don't think that's going to be the most insane thing that we see from this show this time around. We got 22 minutes worth of lore to listen to when it comes to this story. So, let's go ahead and hit that play button again.
It's one that's scary!
They reach him and he explains he's nothing. They try and make him something by coming up with personalities he could have and land on a villain personality. And so, Rob fittingly remembers his evil origin story. He was left behind in the void back when Gumball and Darwin went to save Molly, and was only able to escape by clinging to the back of Mr. Small's van, which deformed him in the process. Now he'll try and get revenge and be the Wattersons' mortal enemy, which Gumball and Darwin just don't care about.
Pause. What? Oh my gosh. I thought that Rob living there with them was crazy, but then we get the fact that they're like, you know what? I know what personality I am. I'm a freaking villain. So I'm going to be yours and Darwin's villain, and I'm going to get my revenge on y'all. It's like, oh my gosh. This is just crazy. y'all are going to hear the word crazy quite often, and I know I say this in every time I do a lore video, but every time, if y'all wonder why I always do this number here when I'm pausing and starting, pausing and stopping, because when I'm doing this, I don't edit like everybody else. I don't have a laptop where it's a screen recording this and that. I'm doing everything with this, and I kind of got to be able to know when to start and pause the video when I'm editing everything. So that's why. So let's continue and play.
Some things never change, I guess. To kick off Season 4, we've got the episode The Nemesis. And Rob is starting to try and fit into his evil villain role. But not having any luck, Gumball and Darwin decide to help him out and give him the evil name Dr. Wrecker to start him out. And they help him with an evil voice and costume.
Again?
I will destroy you and everyone you love!
After he ruins a party Gumball and Darwin set up for him, Rob heads off and again vows he'll destroy the two, only to immediately come back asking for help. Apparently, he broke the controls to the Elmore Dam while trying to flood the town, and now wants to make sure they save the day.
I'm sorry, guys. I really don't feel like touching live electrical wires with my bare hand.
However, it turns out Rob only wrecked a vending machine, and Elmore doesn't even have a dam in the first place. So, yeah, Rob is down on himself again.
Pause. I still like Rob. I don't know what it is, but even if he is a villain, I still like Rob. Rob's kind of the best right now. He kind of reminds me of Butters from South Park, or at least when Butters was trying to be a villain. I can't remember Butters' villain name. If you remember Butters' villain name, leave it down in the comments so that it can re-click in my head. But I really like Rob. Or Dr. Wrecker, I think they called him as his villain name. They even gave him a villain voice. It's like Rob was actually helping them become a hero as well in that story. It's like, Rob, you're the villain. You don't go to the heroes for help to fix your problem of what you've had happen. Granted, it was just a vending machine, but still, you're the villain. You don't make the heroes look good by getting them to help you fix the problem you just did. I love Rob so far. Maybe they're going to make me hate Rob, though, so I better not show love for him yet. So let's continue and play.
And the boys decide to fall into a trap of his to cheer him up. They are too nice to someone who literally vowed to destroy them. What are they thinking? In the episode The Signature, Louie tells Richard that he plans on marrying his mom, Granny JoJo, and Richard's instincts kick in. Richard tricks Louie into signing adoption papers, making him his son, and uses his new parental power to forbid him from doing so. Then Louie tricks Nicole into signing adoption papers and makes her his daughter and forbids Richard from seeing her. Yeah, this one got weird. The kids figure that the only way to solve this is going to the highest member on the family tree, Frankie Watterson, Richard's dad. We finally get to see him, and well, he's a sleazy green rat who's down on his luck, and decides to finally return home after seeing an ad in the paper. After an emotional reunion, Frankie tricks Richard into signing the deed to the house over instead of adoption papers to fix the whole mess. And so everyone races to the courthouse.
It's the line on the left. Get this stamped.
Frankie cuts them off, but upon seeing the same sad face Richard had as when he left for milk, he comes to his senses and lets things go back to normal, with Richard even having Frankie adopt him. This show is crazy.
Pause. He is correct. This show is crazy. I love it, but it's crazy. So we have the little rat-looking fella who's about to marry what's-his-face's mom. And he's a sleazy little rat who tricks him into signing adoption papers and then forbids him, and then he tricks his, Nicole. Hopefully I got her name right. I'm horrible with names, by the way, if nobody knowed. I'm horrible with words as well, with using the word node instead of, in case anyone didn't know. But either way, I think Nicole got signed some adoption papers as well and forbid them two from seeing. And then his dad shows back up after all these years, tricks him into signing papers that are the deed to the frickin' house. It's like, what the heck? I gotta watch the show in general. Yes, I've got spoilers like all get out, but I don't think it's going to change the fact that there's a ton of jokes that I'm not catching in, you know, just watching it like this. And there's a ton of just so many other things that I'm probably not getting from watching it like this as well. So either way, let's continue. We already got like 19 minutes left. I don't even know. Who cares? Let's play.
In the episode, The Origins, we get to see the early life of the Watersons, starting with the day baby Gumball got a pet goldfish named Darwin. However, the goldfish dies. And so Richard has to go buy another, and another, and another, and another. Yeah, they can't seem to take care of them all. Jeez. Oh, also we can see a baby Banana Joe in the background here, and it's kinda adorable. Eventually, Richard buys a special goldfish from a mysterious vendor, and Gumball immediately hits it off with him. After a little death scare, the Watersons take a family picture, and Darwin talks, scaring Richard, and having him tossed into the toilet. Well, that's just awesome. No worries though, as Darwin makes it to the ocean from the sewer and wills himself onto land. In not so graceful fashion, cause, you know, he doesn't have legs or lungs. Through his love for Gumball, he manages to gain lungs and starts his grueling voyage home.
Have you seen this boy's fish?
Again, through Gumball's connection,
My dude, you can't put a poster up showing the boy without showing his fish. Either way, though, this is seemingly a very good episode, though. We're getting the origin story of Darwin and, you know, Gumball and how they've come to be, because it kind of sucks that they killed so many goldfish, but at the same time, it's showing us how strong their friendship is. So this is a good key episode here. Loving this. Crazy, but loving this. And
Darwin gains legs and makes it back to Elmore, right before Gumball gets a new goldfish. Baby Gumball gives him his green boots to cover his feet, and thus, we now know the full story of Darwin. This one's super sweet. I'd say give it a full watch if you're interested. In the episode The Bus, the school bus driver, Rocky, decides to just not take the kids to school today. And a bunch of poorly disguised adults, including the principal, Mr. Brown, all hop on board alongside a ticking briefcase. Also, the balloon is a blatant Breaking Bad reference. No joke. He's got the name and everything.
My name is Mr. Brown, this is Mr. Pink, Mr. Rainbow, and Mr. White.
The kids figure their parents are just trying to teach them a lesson. So Gumball goes up to his dad and tries to blow his cover. And yeah, it's obvious as to what they're trying to accomplish as soon as they talk about how their lives turned to crime after ditching class. The plan is already horrible, but the cops eventually get involved, and the adults take a bag of money offered for the safe return of the kids. This has gone from failed inspirational moment to full-on kidnapping. Apparently, this was the plan all along, set up by Rob, who wanted revenge and money. He and Gumball fight for the money, and he escapes, but apparently grabbed the wrong case instead of grabbing the ticking one that was a bomb.
Pause. Okay. Did not expect the twist of Rob showing up in this. I thought at first we were going to have the parents end up being like, you know, hey, we kidnapped our kids, and I was going to be like, and I thought what I was going to be saying here was going to be something along the lines of, if they're your kids, how are you kidnapping them? Yes, it kind of sucks that y'all are going on a high-speed chase in a bus full of the kids, but you can't kidnap your own kids. Well, technically you can, but that's a whole different scenario as opposed to this. But then it's Rob. Rob actually did something as a villain that's looking like it's turning out the way he plans it, but we know it's not going to turn out that way. Rob's going to end up screwing this up somehow, and he got a briefcase. Well, Rob, I think, picked up the wrong briefcase, but he was that close to getting some money and, you know, all this stuff, and Rob was so close to being a good villain. I hope Rob can do something good. Is it, you know what, I'm gonna ask, is there an Amazing World of Gumball movie? Because, you know what, if there is, then it's gonna be shown in this. So let's continue. Hopefully I'll have some time to end up actually getting over here and actually call my wife and all that stuff, instead of, hopefully it's not going to be too late when I get off and stop recording. But either way, let me continue watching this and finding out the lore and play.
And is blasted all the way back to the police, where he's arrested. You know, I gotta hand it to him. That plan was way more hardcore and thought out than the whole damn explosion one. Next up, we have the...
As much as I like Rob, he doesn't need to actually win. So, awesome that he got caught. So, yeah, okay. Onward to the scam. And
Scam, which is another Halloween episode. It starts with Gumball telling the story of Gargaroth for show and tell, who's an evil spirit that you should never say the name of. Except Gumball is saying it basically every sentence while explaining him.
Not a nice guy. Gargoyle. Can you please stop saying it?
And so the spirit is summoned, and everyone runs out of the classroom. Pretty fitting, Gumball was dressed as Beetlejuice while explaining this. Anyways, it turns out that this was all a ruse to steal some candy with the help of Carrie, and Darwin isn't too pleased with Gumball for the trickery. That is, until Gumball says Carrie will need to possess a body to eat some of it herself. So yeah, Darwin's in. The gang goes around with Gumball and Darwin acting as Ghostbusters.
We're here to get rid of Gargoth the Devourer. For a small fee, of course.
And Carrie haunting up different portions of the school, and leave the place just as actual Gargaroth shows up.
Oh no.
The Wattersons are called back to save the place, and Carrie explains that a hero has to sacrifice something to banish him. So, in this case, it's gotta be Gumball and the candy. He sacrifices all but one lollipop, but eventually gives in and just throws it to him after Carrie almost has to marry the guy. The episode ends with Carrie and Darwin setting up a date later on, but Gumball's a bit burnt out on ghost stuff after all that and drags him away. In the last episode of Season 4, the disaster...
Pause. Okay, that was actually a better... No, actually, no, it wasn't a better episode than I thought, but they did end up looking good at the end of the episode, and that's the important thing with Gumball and Darwin. They ended up looking like the heroes who saved the school from Gargathoth, or Gargithoth, Gargathoth, or whatever the name is, because I can't really think of it. But this episode coming up is called The Disaster, and it's another Rob episode. The season that they're covering now on here is very heavy with Rob. This is where it seemed like it was getting some lore heavy stuff, is around this season. So yeah, I don't know what else to say, so I'm just gonna hit this button and continue it that way. That way we could jump into it, and then I could see some stuff and obviously have some commentary. Let's hit that play button now.
Rob manages to get out of jail, and now has his hands on a universal remote for the actual universe. So now he's gonna use it to get revenge on Gumball for everything. Oh, also the episode starts with the Wattersons singing to the theme of the outro of the actual show, which is pretty weird if I do say so myself.
Nothing can go wrong, we'll be happy all day.
Anyways, Rob uses the remote to agitate Gumball's family one by one, with Darwin getting his feelings hurt by subtitles. Nicole and Richard getting a full-on divorce thanks to the parental filter being turned off. That's clever.
I'm getting a donut and she's getting a better husband.
What?
Anais getting lost due to the brightness being turned down, and Penny getting shoved off a balcony thanks to the fast forward. Also, Gumball accidentally kisses Sarah right in front of Penny while the lights were out, meaning Rob is literally ruining everything Gumball cares about.
I said I would destroy you and everyone you love.
Rob says that once Gumball is gone, he'll be able to be whatever he feels, because it'll no longer be his amazing world, with him even saying none of this is real.
Pause. This is actually one of those episodes where the universal remote thing, it's very done throughout so many different movies and shows and just genres, and it's gotten to a point where it's actually a little cliche to have a universal remote that, you know, does, you know, the whole fast forward and skip and mute and all this stuff. But from what I'm seeing, they did a good job with this episode and showing the uses that you can do with one of these universal remotes, and I'm really enjoying that this lore here for this episode, because it's like, look, Rob is finally coming into his own as a villain, and he got his hands on this remote, and he's going to use it to the full extent. He's literally ruining Gumball's life. But now I'm finding out Gumball's saying none of this is real. So where are we going with this? Makes me wonder what Gumball's about to say. So the easiest way for me to find out what Gumball's about to say is for me to simply hit the play button. So let's do that. Play.
Hold on. What does he mean by that? What? He and Gumball fight, but eventually the remote's batteries die, and so Rob chucks it into the void, causing Gumball to go in after it. Eventually, while falling through the void, the same one Rob was trapped in, by the way, he catches the remote, fixes the batteries, and rewinds to give himself a second chance at the day. Wow. This episode was freaking awesome, while managing to still be as funny as the show usually is. This is awesome.
Start. Break it down!
Here we go. Season 5, Episode 1, The Rerun. So after Gumball hit rewind in the last episode, he's reliving the events of the day, but this time with the knowledge of what's going to happen. He rearranges the letters in his subtitles to tell Darwin about Rob, and then launches himself at him to prevent anything from happening to his parents. Rob accidentally hits rewind though, and de-ages Richard and Nicole until they're babies, which causes the kids to start disappearing because they...
Pause. So that was the actual... Okay, so the last episode that they were going over where Gumball was in the void and then hit the rewind button, that was the season 4 final. And so when Gumball hit the rewind, everyone had to wait until season 5 to see what happened. See, that's the kind of TV I miss, is the TV that keeps you waiting in order to see, hey, this is the cliffhanger. Now you get to find out what happened next. Now we get to see a conclusive end to a story at the end of a season. No cliffhangers no more. Well, granted, the show Ruby, we got a cliffhanger on that. I'm hoping Viz Media definitely gets to doing something with that show very, very soon, because we need to know how that show ends. And if they don't do nothing with it, they are missing out on a good moneymaker, because there is a loyal fan base out there for Ruby. They need to do something here very soon. Heck, I don't even know if Viz Media got the merchandise rights for it or not. That's another show. I'm just not going to talk about that one. But yeah, now we got these... We're still dealing with this remote in season 5 though. Holy crap. Huh. This show's crazy in a good way, y'all. I don't know what to say, because now we got that remote, and when you point it at the person and hit the rewind, then it de-ages that person you're pointing it at. So that's an aspect of the universal remote trope that I never even thought about. Like, you could point the rewind at somebody and just rewind them and not rewind everything around you. Either way, let's continue and play.
Were never born. Anais is first to go, and Gumball and Darwin forget about her due to her just technically never existing. And then, right after Darwin shrinks back into the normal goldfish he used to be and full-on just dies. That is brutal. And then, to cap things off, Gumball still ends up pushing Penny off of a balcony. Wow.
You have only yourself to...
You know what? Save it. I've heard it all before.
Gumball and Rob go back to fighting, with Gumball winning and pushing Rob back into the void. He feels bad, though, and rushes in to save him, with Rob running off due to his general pettiness. Gumball changes the channel at a point too, which he seems pretty perplexed by. He finally catches up to Rob, but is shrinking fast. Rob rewinds to the point where he had Gumball just outside of the void, and admits he can't do it because Gumball was hard to hate. And he realized that especially when he rushed in to try and save him, he rewinds the entire day back, and everyone, yet again, forgets about the day.
Sorry, but you
In the episode...
Oh my gosh, we're never gonna know what he just said, because it could be telling him off, it could be anything. He muted himself though, and we're never gonna know. But holy crap, those 2 episodes, that's probably 2 of the best episodes they probably did, other than the Origin Part 1 and 2. Holy crap. The Amazing World of Gumball, y'all. It is crazy good. Let's continue. And
The outside. The Wattersons head off to go visit Richard's dad, Frankie, who lives in a dump.
It could be worse. He could live in that.
Hello, Wattersons!
They figure he had to be in prison with the way he lives, and so to try and get him back on his feet, Anais decides to get him on a prison-esque daily routine, starting at their house. Everyone is taking the thing real seriously and playing their role.
Too much.
Sorry.
Except Richard, who's using the time to bond with his dad, because prison is the best place to do that. Right. Eventually, Frankie gets fed up and tries to leave, but is electrocuted by the doorknob and is knocked out. The Wattersons are kinda crazy. Frankie wakes up handcuffed to Gumball, and the two jump out of the window of his room to escape.
Sound the alarm!
Eventually, the others catch up, and it's revealed that he actually never went to prison, and was instead fleeing from 3 days of jail time. Okay. He's offered to stay with the Wattersons as a token of apology, but after what he just endured, he's not interested. And then he's sent to actual prison by a cop who's chasing him for suspiciously running away in striped clothes, handcuffed to a child. Poor Frankie, honestly. I mean, he's still kind of a scummy person, but still. In the episode...
pause. Okay, so I know cartoon logic, all that good stuff, but technically, as suspicious as it is to be running down the street in pinstripes as if you just got out of jail, handcuffed to a child, as suspicious as that is, I don't know if it's illegal. So technically he shouldn't have been arrested and put in prison. I don't know. Either way though, cartoon logic, lock him up, because he'd rather be there than deal with the Wattersons. So let's continue this and play.
The Matchmaker. After Gumball walks in on Darwin singing some emo love song, he ends up over to the computer and finds a picture of Terry, a paper bear girl from school, and he figures he must be into her. He goes to Carrie, the ghost, for help, and even admits he figured Darwin liked her, but the photographic evidence proves otherwise. Carrie is obviously a little saddened by Gumball's news. Gumball's first idea is not a great one, with him figuring that since love is supposed to be like a life or death situation, he's got to put Terry in one. Yeah, that's not a good idea.
I don't think there's a cure for that.
Also, Carrie is planning to sabotage all of Gumball's plans to aid in her own crushed goals. This episode gets pretty convoluted. Carrie admits to Gumball what she's been doing and says she feels bad for trying to sabotage Darwin's efforts, and so she makes a love potion and they successfully get the two together. Gumball tells Darwin about what he did for him, and Darwin explains the photo on the computer was actually of Carrie, who just doesn't show up on film. I mean, honestly, what was Gumball thinking? Gumball and Carrie decide to try and break Darwin and Terry up, but no matter what, the potion keeps kicking in. This whole segment is great. The only thing that's finally able to break the potion is Darwin seeing how sad Carrie is when he's...
Pause. Okay. I gotta go back. The picture that was on the computer was not of the paper cutout girl, but of her, the ghost. But she doesn't show up on the picture because she's a ghost. But here's the cute part. Here's where I'll hand it to the show, because the cute part is the fact that Darwin, even though she wasn't visible due to her being a ghost in the picture, Darwin still knew that she was there and still cherished the picture and still saw her there regardless of her showing up in the picture. That's the cute part about it. So yeah. So this whole episode, because Gumball couldn't see old girl in the picture. Okay, let's continue. And
he's kissing Terry. And so to cap the episode off, he finally gets with Carrie. What a happy ending for everyone except Terry. But at least she fell in love with her hand sanitizer, so. In the episode The Catfish, Gumball and Darwin stumble onto Grandpa Louie's Elmore Plus account, complete with 0 friends, and want to try and help him out.
I feel nothing for him. Nothing. I know
really holding back because...
And so they make an account for a fake person named Muriel to be his friend. He texts Gumball about his story all day, and even tells him that he's getting a bit frustrated with Granny JoJo.
Her cutie patootie.
I'm sorry, but I refuse to picture that last image.
Eventually, Louis just bugs Gumball beyond all belief to the point where he gives up on helping, and Darwin decides to set up a meeting between the two so they can come clean. Louis told Muriel that he thinks they could be more than Elmore Plus friends, and then Granny JoJo finds out, and she is pissed. I don't think I would ever want to be on her bad side. Granny JoJo goes after Muriel, who apparently is someone Gumball found a picture of online who works at the ball. And eventually, they come clean to both of them before anyone gets hurt. Grandpa Louis explains he's just tired of Granny JoJo's hyper jealousy of any other women.
Pause. Okay, so I feel you on the jealousy part. I feel him on the jealousy part. Because I got a wife who is uber jealous. Even, like, I'm at work. And no, this is not where I was going when I initially paused, but hey, it is what it is. I feel him on the jealousy issue. I'm here at work. I get out of the truck. I go into a shipping and receiving office. I'm on the phone with the wife. I've got a headset somewhere around here, not these. But I'll have her in my ear. The microphone's like right here. She's able to hear the girl who's talking to me asking me my receiving numbers or my pickup number or whatever I need to, get the load in the trailer and all that stuff. After I'm done, I still have the wife on the phone. It only takes a few moments. So I don't hang the phone up and all the hassle of, calling back and all that stuff. First thing she asks, is she cute? I'm like, of course not compared to you. At this point, it's more of a fun little, more fun jealousy than like real, jealousy like this. This show with Granny here, her jealousy, it's a whole different type of jealousy. But at the same time, he kind of cheated on her emotionally, not physically, but still, it was an emotional cheating. He still cheated on her with this fake woman. He felt the feelings. So he needs, oh my gosh. This episode, I'm not feeling this episode, but at the same time, it's still giving me something to commentate on due to the fact that I know jealousy. Holy crap, I know jealousy. But yeah, technically he cheated on old Granny emotionally with the fake person that Gumball and Darwin catfished him with. And on top of that, this show, holy crap, this episode, I see more of Granny than I wanted to see for a lifetime, because we had her, I guess, in bed doing like if you've ever seen the movie American Beauty, we had her kind of in some pedals and this is a kid's show, but it's definitely got some adult humor in it as well. Let's just say that. Let's continue and play.
Around Louis, and wants to make just one friend, and was hoping that Muriel could be a real-life friend, more than just Elmore Plus. Granny JoJo decides Louis can have one friend, which turns out to be her. Good lord. In the episode The X, Gumball re-encounters Rob while on a date with Penny. Gumball seems super into the whole rivalry he had with him, but it turns out Rob has moved on, and is now the nemesis of Banana Joe because he's easier to hate. Poor Joe. I love that guy. To make things worse, Rob even returns his box of Gumball-obsessed stuff to him, and so Gumball decides to get him to hate him again. He accidentally sabotages Rob's plot.
Pause. Okay, so first off, what are you hating on the banana for? And second off, Rob, you were so much better as a nemesis of Gumball. You don't need to be hating on other people. I mean, look what you're doing. Ooh. Actually, maybe this is Rob's plan. Maybe that's why he's doing it, to get under Gumball's skin. That might be it. I don't know. Let's find out. Wait. Okay, I thought I saw something on the screen, but nope. Either way, let's find out what Rob's doing here, because I want to continue to like Rob as a villain. I don't want to dislike Rob because he's not a villain, though, Because, yeah. Oh my gosh. Either way.
To harm the banana. But even still, the experience just makes Rob more obsessed with getting Joe.
Oh, it didn't do anything.
Eventually, he just decides to try and be Rob's friend instead, though. So he sets off to find him. He reaches Rob, who's hiding in a bush, with a trap set for Joe. But just before he's smushed by a bunch of barrels, Gumball tries to get a photo, which stops Joe in his tracks. Rob's hatred for Gumball is reignited, and the two are mortal enemies again. Again, I have no idea why Gumball wants this. Season 5, Episode 31, The Best.
Not everyone can afford organic stores, Carmen. Maybe you should check your privilege.
That's all I got for this one. Next. Alright, in the last episode of Season 5, we've got a special one. It's not lore related, but it's pretty much entirely done by the team who made the internet series Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Give that a watch if you're in for some scary stuff. Anyways, the episode. Right. Gumball and Darwin are getting rid of their old toys and find some puppets, which Gumball makes Darwin promise to get rid of, but of course, he doesn't. Instead, he promises to never take them off his hands, and after a while, they start to get a mind of their own and take over Darwin's life, culminating when they cause him to attack Gumball.
When I said grow up, I didn't mean go straight to the part where you're in a retirement home screaming at chairs and biting the nurses.
Gumball tosses the puppets, but they escape from the trash can by themselves and cause Darwin to break their game console, which replaced the puppets all those years ago. They knock Darwin out and make Gumball go after him by putting on the last puppet, who actually wants to help Gumball out. So he grabs his hand and gets teleported to a puppet world, walking through their imagination.
Pause. How are these puppets alive? Did Gumball actually mean none of this is real and it's just all in his imagination? What the frick is going on with this episode? Although, I am very interested in the episode because it was made by the people who made Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. So, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Okay, so I'm probably going to go check this episode out on my own and all that good stuff. So, well, not right now, of course, but yeah, so, yeah, I don't know what else to say about this little portion here, but holy crap. I just don't know how the puppets are alive. Either way, play.
Imagination world.
Shush. Can you hear that, Master Gumball?
They overhear Darwin and the other puppets singing, and to say that the song is ominous is an understatement.
I don't know what's going on! I'm not sure this is the...
Gumball bursts onto the scene to save Darwin, but it turns out the whole thing was a trap for the boys to become the puppets' playthings, with the seemingly nice puppet being evil all along. Darwin pulls their thread, and the two escape, blowing them up using their imagination, because it's an imagination land. Duh. This episode is great as well. Really love the puppet world stuff. There's also a mini episode of just these puppets if you want to see more of that. But for us, we are moving on to the last season. In the first episode of Season 6, we have another flashback episode, this time with the story of how Anais was born. And well, it goes pretty quick. As they go through a drive-thru for a hospital, Anais is delivered, but obviously kinda evil, and she immediately chucks Gumball and Darwin out of the car and onto cement. How does a baby have that much strength? Jeez. Anais keeps trying to hurt the two boys afterwards too, putting them in a way of oncoming traffic, and even tricking the parents into thinking they hit her.
I'm gonna go for a drive.
Darwin, no!
When things get worse with Anais' schemes, the boys decide to trap her, but the box gets taken to the dump. Luckily, she was never actually inside.
No! You have to save her!
The boys make sure the box isn't hurt, but when they finally reach safety, they find she isn't there. She almost shoves the boys into an incinerator.
Pause. Holy crap. I wanted more lore with the sister. Don't get me wrong, because we haven't had much of anything with Ionese. I think that's how they pronounce her name. We haven't had much of anything with her this whole time. Little tidbits here and there, but we haven't had hardly anything with her. And then when we do, she turns out to be freaking evil until they hug her. To say that this show isn't crazy is an understatement. Holy freaking crap, this show is some kind of other crazy. My goodness gracious. So yeah, we got what looks to be about 5 more minutes worth of lore to go. We're in the last season, so let's go ahead. I'm going to pause it in between now and the last, the end of this, but let's do this. Let me straighten myself out here a little bit and try to get a little more comfortable, because sitting as long as I am in the position I am, this tends to hurt after a while, honestly. So, let's continue and play.
But they hug her first, and she eventually drops her evil ways and even says her first words. Gumball did it. Right to the parents. Okay, maybe she's slightly evil still. In the episode The Father, Frankie returns for a visit with the Wattersons for a full family reunion to celebrate Vermin Man Day. The celebrations include bashing a piñata shaped like Frankie with a bunch of garbage inside rather than candy, and setting a model of him ablaze. Yeah, this holiday was made up by Granny JoJo out of spite. So Frankie takes—
Pause. Oh my gosh, let me straighten myself out a little bit here while I talk to y'all about that. Holy crap. Granny JoJo created a holiday in remembrance of Frankie leaving. Okay. Holy crap. That is crazy. Hopefully Granny can actually enlighten them to say, look, I was a little ticked off with your dad when he left for that milk. So I pretended we were beating the mess out of him and then setting him on fire. Oh my gosh. Granny, you need to chill. Don't get me wrong, I don't know what I would have did in that situation either, but chill, Granny. Let's continue and play.
The hint and walks away, to Richard's dismay.
How about a joke? Knock knock.
Dad?
What? No.
With Richard comforting like a madman, the kids decide to try and make the connection between him and his father better. They go through a bunch of things that any old father and son would do, but Frankified. Tossing a football? How about a stolen one? Learning to drive a car? How about a getaway car? Fishing? How about for wallets on a freeway? Richard eventually breaks and says he just wanted to talk life, and gets Frankie to realize he can do better starting now, which is sweet. But what's sweeter is Richard did pick up a bit from their bonding time, as he even stole Frankie's wallet. Aw, that's really nice. Kinda. Maybe not.
And don't worry, it's not mine anyway.
Next up, we have the transformation. In this one, Penny has Gumball over to try and help resolve a family matter, that being their objection to Penny walking around without her shell all the time, going against generations of tradition. Also, Gumball lost his clothes on the way in.
Pause? So, does that mean that Penny's walking around naked? Is she like a nudist or something? And we're watching, like, I feel awkward now. Wow. Walking around without her shell, as if that's a metaphor for clothes. Like I said, I feel awkward, but you know what? I'm not going to question it no further than I have to, because I don't want to think about how old they're supposed to be and whether or not this is a metaphor for what I'm thinking it is. So let me know down in the comments, though, if that's what it is. So yeah, let's continue and play. Messed that play button up. Let's try that again and play.
Patrick, Judith, good evening.
Just in case you wondered why he's dressed like Santa, Mr. Fitzgerald tells Gumball the final decision on whether the family should use shells or not is up to him. And so Gumball deflates before stepping out to think. After getting threatened by everyone in the family to make the right decision, Gumball decides to try and make a story to explain his decision, but he keeps going in circles until the family interrupts him. Luckily, they figured out that they have to agree to disagree, and try to thank Gumball, who booked it. They were literally threatening to murder him. I don't blame him.
What happened?
Oh, just a little accident in the kitchen.
In the episode The Drama, we finally get to see Darwin and Carrie on a date. They're hitting it off great, but when Masami and Leslie see their Elmore Plus post, they figure it's too good to be true, and go to Gumball to try and see if he knows any dirt on their relationship, which he doesn't. But geez, what jerks. However, the conversation alone gave Gumball some doubt, personified by this gray dude.
See? I don't have...
Are you sure?
And he starts to snoop on Darwin and Carrie's dates, finding out that Carrie is 327 years old, and in that time did have one boyfriend before Darwin, Azrael, though at first it doesn't seem to bother either of them much. Later though, Carrie bumps into Azrael and sets up a time for them to catch up. And even still, Darwin is unfazed. Gumball sure isn't though. He reaches Darwin and decides he's gonna save their relationship, but catches up to Carrie and Azrael, who are, expectedly, just having a normal conversation. Gumball apologizes.
What lucky they didn't do that with you and Penny. You'd have gone completely loco.
Yeah.
And promptly kicks the Doubt Dude into Masami and Leslie. They definitely got.
Pause before we jump into the future, tackle that last episode. The age difference between What's-Her-Face and Darwin. Who cares? It's cartoon logic. She's a ghost. She died as a child, probably, which means that she is still a child. Wait, no, she was born a ghost. Huh. So now that actually puts a little bit of a kink in it, because if she's born a ghost, and she's 300 and something years old, then she ain't no child. She's lived / been dead. Oh my gosh, this is just getting so confusing. But in the sense that she was born and has been around for 300 years, that means she is far more than... So now I'm starting to feel like the age gap is a little weird, but there's... okay, cartoon logic. That's how you explain age gaps in cartoons. Cartoon logic, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not going to question it no more, and we're going to continue with this lore-heavy episode, according to our narrator here, who I still believe is AI. And let's... Oh, I know what this episode's about now. Okay, because I see, yeah, okay. The painting that we saw at the end of that one episode is going to come to fruition in this episode, because this is the Banana's mom who does the paintings that tell the future. Holy crap, let's do this. And play.
What they deserved. Another lore-centered episode here with the future. Banana Joe's mom, Banana Barbara, the one who made all those future-predicting paintings from a while back, goes missing, and we're left to presume that Rob has something to do with it. Gumball and Darwin decide to help Joe out, and start by thinking like a banana.
Well, maybe we need a different poster. This photo isn't even of her!
Meanwhile, Rob is forcing Barbara to paint the future, but all that's showing up on canvas is static. The boys are still searching for her, and she's painting as fast as she can to show what's going on, and even altering her drawings to change reality, making a portal for the boys to go to her, which they fall right through, still using the mind of a banana. After a brief fight, Rob is painted out of existence. But again, the boys feel bad and ask Banana Barbara to paint him back for the future. Although after she does so, she oddly says, "There is no future," and the screen cuts to static. Although we can slightly make out a figure in the reflection of the screen. Dang, things are getting crazy. Here it is, folks. The final episode, The Inquisition. Principal Brown is super stressed due to Superintendent Evil coming to inspect the school, and rightfully so, as he promptly takes over and vows to break the students due to their insanity and indecency. The superintendent is ruining the school and its students, trying to make them follow the rules of nature and be less cartoonish.
It's just not professional for two members of staff.
Well, pause. It's professional for two members of staff at a school to be in a relationship. It's perfectly fine. There's plenty of schools out there that have a husband-wife duo that are teachers and stuff. So that's perfectly okay. Either way, though, I get where they're going with it. I don't know why I felt the need to stop at that point. But, yeah. Okay, so Superintendent Evil. Let's do it. Hopefully this balloon guy don't pop. And play.
Has to be in a relationship.
Okay.
Eventually, he starts having all students fixed, turning them into human versions of themselves. And even human versions of themselves. Dang. Gumball and Darwin escape by embracing their cartoony nature, but then decide to head back to save everyone. They bring everyone back to their cartoony forms and stop Superintendent Evil, who turns out to be Rob. But he insists he's doing this all for a reason. That being, well, actually, we don't find out thanks to Tina. Later though, Rob wakes up and reveals that because they didn't transform, they'll be sent to the other world, with the world cracking from beneath himself, sending him to yet another void. Yeah, a cliffhanger. Okay, so Gumball isn't quite over, and that last episode came out all the way back in 2019. Crazy, right? But after this long wait, we finally have confirmation from the series creators that a 7th season is coming. And you better believe we'll be here to cover it when it comes out. So make sure to stick around and subscribe for when that happens. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'm gonna see you all in the next video.
That's it? Okay, so now... does that mean I gotta go out and find a season 7 and find out the lore in another video? So now we've accidentally turned this into a part 3 unexpectedly? Oh my gosh. Okay, plot twist here. I thought that this was going to be the last. Okay, before I get, like, you know, amped up for like a season 7 and what's, you know, is involved with that, I better actually, after, I'm not going to promise. Okay, here's what I will do. If there was a season 7 and it's out there and all that stuff, I will find a video that has the lore of season 7 and do a part 3 to the Amazing World of Gumball, learning the lore. But if there's not been a learning the lore, you know, if there hasn't been a lore video for season 7, then I just won't do that one, because that would mean that there is no season 7. Considering the year that they were talking about at the end there, it should be out. So I'm going to presume that there is, and in my head look forward to season 7 coming, well, already being out and having a lore video. And if there isn't, and if we end up getting, well, maybe there was like a movie or something instead, I don't know. Okay, and if there is a movie, what I could do instead is do a reaction to the movie. See, I don't know. Here's where I'm stuck now. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, because I don't know if season 7 actually came out, whether they scrapped season 7, turned it into a movie, whether or not it's still in production. Oh my gosh. I mean, this left us on such a cliffhanger that it's like, oh my gosh. Now, you know, Rob's not technically a villain anymore. He was trying to save everyone and make them normal, because if they didn't act normal, then they would be to somewhere else, into a different universe or a different void. Which, what popped in my head immediately was learning with Pibby. That's what popped in my head immediately whenever he said, if I don't do this and everyone don't transform, y'all are going to be, you know, consumed into something else. So that's what popped in my head. But yeah, I'm stuck on that season 7, because if it's still being produced, I'll do reactions to the new episodes. If it's already out, that means there's a lore video. If it's just being canceled altogether and turned into a movie, maybe I'll react to the Amazing World of Gumball movie. But either way, I'm going to find out what happens next. And whether it's just a 10-minute lore video that I'm learning from, or whatever, there's going to be a part 3 to all of this, because obviously this was not the final, you know, end to the Amazing World of Gumball. So that's what, oh my gosh, I am just unexpectedly, I've got a part 3 to do now. I just did not expect that. I was expecting that we would have a conclusive end. I would know where the story ends, and everything's happy-go-lucky, and that's where I thought we were going to end up. But lo and behold, nope. So it is what it is. Y'all have heard my thoughts about the, you know, the ending and whether or not there's a season 7 and all that stuff. So we'll find out. And I guess there's going to end up being a community post about that later on, because I thought I was going to end up doing a different show after this, but I've got a part 3/reaction to do now. So I have no idea what I'm doing. Nonetheless, though, I do know one thing. I am kind of hurting a lot sitting like this, and I need to kind of stand up, stretch out. I got to get some food out of here and out of the fridge down here, warm it up. I'm probably going to have some chicken and rice, honestly. You know, something nice and filling and, you know, not too heavy, you know, cheesy chicken and rice. Yeah, but other than that, I think I'm done, and I don't even know why I told y'all what I was probably going to be eating for dinner. So, what I'm going to do is the same thing I always do. Pass it off to y'all. It's the end of the video. All I know is this show was crazy. Let me know what y'all thought about it down in the comments. Hit that like, tickle to subscribe. Don't be texting and driving. Love what you watch and watch what you love. And take it away, Mr. Rogers.
I like you just the way you are.